cold, you know, when you're running.
Not cold at all. It's pleasant.
When you're running, it's chilly, but when you stop, it gets downright comfortable. Well, we were in, wasn't that long ago, we were sitting here doing almost the exact same thing. Ew, excuse me, I'm gonna switch to something. Beanie get itchy for you after a long run? Sometimes it like makes my hair itch. Wonder what I got in my beanie.
I don't have hair.
Sorry, didn't mean to.
No, I have nothing itching on my head.
Well, as it's sun makes an early retrieval back to the horizon, let's recap today a little bit. Like I said, it wasn't that long ago we were having the same conversation over by the wall. Today we fished basically from the bypass canal, which you aren't familiar with that, along the Intracoastal Waterway before you get to, after the Wrigley's and before you get to the wall itself. There's just a canal that originally was intended for barges to either go around heavy loads if someone needed to pass, or if needed to anchor overnight, they could tuck in over here and it bypassed the Intracoastal Waterway. It comes in right around Unknown Pass and goes back into the Intracoastal Waterway up by Thomas, and the chef splits it in half. Used to be deep. It's filled in a good bit, but it's got some great grass beds, which really seem to be the key to this particular area, aren't they?
Yeah, we've been fishing those grass beds for years. Since it's man-made, it's got a good ledge, and the grass beds are fairly consistent in their distance from the shoreline. So it's a dedicated.
Yeah, you just sort of have a wall all the way along the shoreline. What the assumption is simply that the bait is sitting up in there. Anything from little shrimp to minnows to crabs sit in that grass, and the redfish and the speckled trout just sort of work along those edges looking for opportunity. We got a nice variety here this morning. A nice box of reds, a big, as far as marsh bass go, a big green trout, if you will, and that trophy mullet of yours, that was impressive. But no speckled trout in here, and I'm going to guess that you're going to attribute that to water temperature.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I think they're here. It's just not feeding.
What was the increase from here to the wall? What do we see that water go up? Almost.
Here we were in 48.8 to 49.5 degree water temperature. When we got to the wall, we were anywhere from 52.5 to 54 degree water temperature.
Yeah, roughly 4 degree temperature change. And 4 degrees may not sound like a lot. It's all world when it comes to finding active speckled trout, which as soon as we got to the wall, started really picking up a few. Now, why aren't there any fish in Air Products Canal yet? That's a good question.
It is a good question, and I don't have an answer. Other than
we saw bait.
The cold that we've had so far this year has been short term, and this cold snap that we're going to have today, we're already predicted 2 days from now to have weather in the high 60s. So I don't think it's been cold to push them in there and keep them in there.
For them to really need to be in deep water all the time, because that whole slip is pretty deep all the way around.
It's very deep. We saw lots of bait in it. Not a bite to be had.
So you're still seeing the fish working the shallow flats. They're still looking for those, the grass beds, the flats, even along the wall. Even though we caught a lot of fish in the deepest part of the channel along the wall, you had a lot of boats fishing on the rocks, which has a nice flat to it, and you had some boats fishing back up by what I call the back door, the guillotine, Bayou Bienvenue, whatever name you give it. And it looked like that, those guys were doing okay, at least for a little while. I saw them running around later.
Yeah, it's shallow water, which is adjacent to deeper water.
Yeah.
So when we get these cold fronts, they'll run into deep water, and then as it warms up, fan back out to the shallow water. And that's just the pattern, back and forth. If we had cold for a solid week, then the Air Products Canal, being big and deep, might see more fish in it.
Might see more activity. Well, you'd have to believe places like Bow Brothers might have a few fish in it. That's got the same sort of geography that we have out by the Mr. Go.
I think what becomes attractive when that water gets cold consistently, then they don't want to waste energy in the current.
Yeah.
And that's when I think Air Products Canal becomes a good area for them, because it's just a dead end without much current.
Yeah.
Whereas Bow Brothers would have current coming from the intercoastal and going down into the Mystigo.
The least
There was
effort for the
quite a
most
bit of
use.
current today.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha. Well, all
Be
right.
my guess anyway.
And you know, we did a nice box of fish, all on artificial. I can only imagine if we'd had some live shrimp today, we might have knocked them out a little better. You know, I mean,
Well, if we can go and make it tough on ourselves, then we can share with the viewers. You bring live bait, and you should do at least this well, if not better.
if not better, especially when it's me on a jigging rod. But I think it's going to stay this way for a good while. You know, I think conditions look like as long as we don't have a long cold spell, I think they're going to stay moving up on those flats. You know, once that water moves below 50 and stays there for a while, then I think you're right. Then they start looking for the least amount of current that they can be in with a little bit of food available. Everything looked right. The back Air Products had bait, had a lot of pogey, had birds moving around in it, so everything's there. I think you just need something to push them up in there, and then that'll pick up a little bit.
The other thing I think that you might be able to share, or we could share with people, is that it's not necessary to go quite so early. We didn't leave till 8,
Right.
but we certainly could have left at 10. And if we were strictly trying to trout fish, that'd give the water a little chance to warm up a little bit with the sunshine, and you'd have better. We didn't catch a trout until after 10, I wouldn't say, but we concentrated on redfish first
In the
thing.
morning, right?
Or we concentrated on whatever we could catch, but the water temperature sort of dictated that redfish was going to be still aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, if there was a strategy, probably going for redfish, drum, sheephead, or something in the morning would make more sense, because the trout definitely are looking even for the slightest warm up before they really start kicking in a little bit. You know, so either sleep in if you're a trout snob, sleep in, and if you're just looking for a nice box of fish, hit your big fish, your meat fish first. There's your strategy. Well, another great day on the water. I appreciate it. I enjoy it. We always seem to have a good time and a good day.